right, it is 5 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
I'd like to add a 5.3, which will be policy code F5, and the name is Behavior Threat Assessment Teams. It is a required policy, and school districts are supposed to have those in place in October.
All right, can I get a motion to add that?
I move to add that to the agenda.
All right, moved by Jeff Eddy. Can I get a second?
I would second that.
Seconded by Catherine. Any discussion? And any other changes to the agenda? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, agenda passes with with the addition of 5.3. Do we have anyone for public comment?
There is no public present at this time. I will let you know if somebody logs on.
All right. Let's see, now moving on to the approval of minutes for our last meeting, which was June 17th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I wasn't able to open them.
Neither was I.
I don't know. There's like nothing there or something. It brings me to the drive, but it doesn't have anything.
It was like a dead link.
Yeah, it brings me to the drive, but it doesn't have anything in it.
Okay, I was able to open it just now.
It was a very short policy meeting.
It was.
Yeah, are you all, would you rather wait until a meeting, or are you comfortable
We
with?
could forward it on to the agenda, next month's agenda, if you want to.
Okay, let's do that to be safe, just in case, we find a typo or something.
And I'll
Just
let you
in
know
case.
to make
Okay.
sure that you get the copies.
Great.
Thanks.
All right.
Not a worry.
Okay, so let's move on to our current business, 5.1 VSBA policy audit review. Yeah, I don't know if,
You want me to summarize?
yeah, sure.
That would be great. So as you know, all board members received a copy of Sandra Cameron, or I should say the Vermont School Boards Association review of just the required policies. Remember, there are 3 buckets. There's the required policies according to regulation, there are recommended policies, and then there are policies to consider or optional policies. So this review just had to do with whether we have in place the required policies.
Mhm.
And yes, we have 35 of 36 required policies in the books. As she went on to explain that some have been updated by VSBA and some have minimal changes that need to be made. And I thought we would wait to talk with her about the process to do that when we meet with Sandra next month in September. Yes, so generally, unless you have any questions about the report, that is a summary of what I believe she provided, in addition to the summary of why some of the policies needed updating.
Mm-hmm.
Great, yeah, I found the report interesting, and that was going to be my question, is how we prioritize and proceed, but it sounds like we will discuss that with Sandra. Did anyone else have any comments or questions?
That was my question too, but that's been answered. Okay. So she'll kind of guide us
Navigate that
through
for
that?
us, guide us through
Okay.
that, yeah.
Wonderful. And I'll just also note, I'm really glad that we're doing this, I think.
One of the things that Tina can provide in terms of the support to the board around policies is that she will take those policies that we have currently, and she will do a red strikeout with the changes that will be made. And then she will attach the Vermont School Boards Association model policy. So when you get a packet next time and we look at all of these, you'll be able to see the red strike changes, the actual changes based on the GSBA, yes, in the proper format. So I'm hoping that at least, because these seem to be, most of them are minor changes, we can do them in all one fell swoop with the board in the following month. But yeah,
Well, great.
So that's how we will proceed.
All right. That sounds good to me. All right, and if there's nothing else, let's move on to, did we just sort of do 5.2, discussion about new required policies and updates? Or is that something separate from the?
That is what I meant by 5.3.
Oh, okay, great. So we'll just move on then to
Yes.
5.3.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, let's all take a minute to review this so that you have a sense for what this policy is all about. I will say before you start that the school district admin teams have received training in what a behavior threat assessment team looks like. So we've already started to look at what the process will be in terms of each of the buildings. But this is the policy that shows the requirements of those steps. So let's take a minute and look at it, and then you can write questions on the side of your form, and we can discuss it after. Lindsay Wells is going to join the group. Everybody finish? I do want to let you know that we do have a public member that has joined the group. Lindsay Wells is now with us. She has her hand raised. We are beyond public comment, but Lindsay, this is a small committee. If you'd like to ask a question at this point, I think the board would be willing to hear what you have to say.
I was just curious. I saw that there was the document from the Vermont School Boards Association, the Berry UUSD policy audit part 1 of 2. Is there a part 2 of 2?
Did you hear that, Garrett?
Is there a part 2 of the audit from the VSBA?
Yeah, because if you look at the 4th line down, Berry UUSD policy audit part 1 of 2.
I do see that in the
I do too.
in
yeah.
the
Yeah, that thing.
subject line. Yes.
I wonder if part 2 of 2 may be not the required policies, but maybe the recommended or other
Yes.
policies,
This
perhaps.
report is the first of several parts of a review, so yes.
Right.
Of which we don't have yet.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something. I'm guessing you
not-
guys were reviewing this document.
Yeah, and just to summarize, Lindsay, we reviewed the document, but we haven't really done anything with that tonight. Sandra Cameron from the Vermont School Board Association, who put this report together, will be joining us next month at our meeting to discuss a strategy for how we want to tackle this report, how we want to implement those changes, and we'll be around to answer questions. So we'll get more details on the report at our September meeting.
Okay. I just giggle a little because I'm at football practice, so you kept saying tackle.
Oh,
That is funny.
there we go. All right. So Lindsay, right now we are on agenda item. We added an agenda item 5.3. We're reviewing a new policy, the behavioral threat assessment teams, F5, and we all had the chance to read it. And now
So any questions about that? I can, if you have any specific questions, I will try and answer them.
I had a basic one, but
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
my question went to the administrative responsibilities end of it, where it said that you were charged, the superintendent or designee will establish the procedures to have that, like, the team developed, and it said, there might be staff or teachers on that team as well. And I'm just wondering if you have experience doing this, like how many people are on a team, threat assessment team usually.
So I can, first of all, I do not have written procedures, so they need to be put in writing, especially when we adopt this policy. But there are steps that are already in place. Each of the schools do have a behavior threat assessment team. They are sub-members of their safety team. And at least I'm aware, in at least one case, one of the schools has had to conduct a threat assessment. And these teams are primarily for the level of, potential violence that we've seen across the country, right? So the purpose of the team is to gain some skills through the required annual training that would allow us to understand what are the conditions, what are we looking for in order to determine that a student does rise to that level. And then the steps that we take is what are we going to do in terms of gathering the appropriate resources and response to mitigate the potential level of violence.
Okay. I had a couple of questions. One is kind of a clarifying question that to me this seems like a policy based in prevention. We're trying to encourage that within.
Yeah, I would say it is prevention, but it's also a response. We think of safety as a response to potential safety issues. So yes, prevention from the aspect that we have people that are trained and they know what to look for, and they're meeting regularly to practice their knowledge of what they're looking for if they have to conduct an assessment. And also a response, because we have a group of people who have been trained that can respond if we have concerns about an individual or a group of students.
Right. And then, so then my second question, I'm noticing in the third paragraph that the threat assessment process is distinct from, it does not supplant the student conduct and discipline
Right.
policy.
Yes.
Are you able to briefly summarize like how this is distinct?
Yeah.
I mean, if not, we can always follow up with me and email.
A lot of these policies overlap, and I would say this one does overlap because it is unique in that the assessment steps and the questions that we ask ourselves and the information that we collect are very specific to the concept of violence. However, student conduct comes to us in a lot of different forms, right? So because it's prevention, if it hasn't become a reaction yet, and if a student does have a violent act in school, then we would use our disciplinary procedures, because there will be not just a emergency response, but it will be a reaction to safety in school and to what degree can we have the student remain, or what are the consequences. And for the consequence part, we've already have those as part of our behavior system, our discipline system.
Okay, thank you.
I have one back on the administrative responsibilities. I'm just curious about number 3, the mechanism that allows students and staff and others to report threatening and troubling behavior.
Yeah.
And how could that, could you just briefly maybe go over like what could that look like?
Yeah, I can't specifically state how we would articulate the parameters of that right now. Through other training, we encourage, if you see something, say something, right? And that's around bullying and harassment. So that's one mechanism. Kids know that if there's an incident on the playground or incident in a classroom that a teacher or an adult may not be aware of, you see something, you say something. And I know that some schools have like an anonymous suggestion box. Let's say they keep it in a public place, or maybe even in the office, that if a student doesn't feel comfortable reporting something verbally to an adult, that they have the ability to put something anonymously in a box. Or we also have trusted adults. We really try to encourage kids to identify at least one adult in the building that no matter what happens, you feel you can trust this person to share, your feelings, your observations. And so we haven't really talked about this in relation to this policy, but there are other things that we do that we could identify as mechanisms.
Great. Thanks.
Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments?
So if it's okay with you, what I will do for the September 8th board meeting, and I will develop a briefing memo for the board. We will put this in our, we're not gonna have any red strikes because you don't have a policy to do that. So we will put it in the BUUSD format. And hopefully people have a chance to read it ahead of time, ask any questions. The public will also see that we're discussing this, so if they have questions, they can contact the superintendent's office or be part of the public comment. And if it goes through the first reading in September, then the board can consider adoption in October, and we will be within the timelines.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Any questions?
No? Okay.
Are there any questions related to what you might want to see from Sandra, other than helping us prioritize, how we're going to adopt these updated policies? Any other questions or resources that you would find helpful for her to bring from VSBA? And if you can't think of any now, just let me know ahead of time, because I will be calling her to confirm that she will be in attendance, and that she knows we're going to want to talk about those specific things, as well as the timeline for recommended policies.
You know, from the top of from this report, the prioritization is my most important. Then I might have more specific questions if I were to see some of the updates on the policies, but based on what we have right now, I don't. But I'm happy to everyone else to weigh in.
I don't have anything specifically on the policies, but I was curious when teachers and staff are hired, do they receive?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I didn't have a chance to review with HR, but we are supposed to, well, there are two things that happen. The question for me is, what do we say to new hires? And I can't answer that because I was thinking about that too, and I just haven't based on what we recently went through. So I will be able to report on that. But I will tell you that annually, the staff has to go through training for certain policies. And I think there are, and you probably know that too, Jeff, I think there are 7 or 8 of them. And I can provide the board with a list so you can see which ones. And you certainly can have input and say, you know what, based on our experience, being a board member, we might want to add this to the list of making sure. But in a general sense, I've been in districts where, you know, the new staff are told that they're online. They're told that they have to operate under those policies. And by being hired, they are assuring us that I think there's something in their contract too that says they agreed to uphold a license and to abide by all board policies. But again, I just, without thinking about my experience, I need to look at what actually happens here.
Okay.
And I would be happy to report that back to the policy committee next month. Okay.
And on that note too, it has me thinking, you know, since we have a few buildings we're working under, how is you explain how you keep all the admin teams at each of the buildings cohesive with their understanding of their literacy of the policies and making sure that the procedures fit their specific demographics they're serving, age-wise, needs-wise.
Oh, that's a very good question too, Garrett. So I know, just taking the most recent policy that we adopted, the library materials policy, it was really staff. It was the librarians and the principals who created the review process if we get any questions about selected materials. So they were aware of that. But one step that I am going to take this year is after the board, and actually I did this for the library policy, but after the board adopts a policy, that will go out as an email to me, to all the staff, saying, please be aware, this is a new board policy. Any questions you have about that, you may contact your principals for review. But maybe we need to take a step back and ask that question. How do we keep our administration, right, and our staff up to date, and be assured that annually we have staff handbooks. Some of the policies are in the staff handbooks. Some are referred to in the staff handbooks, and also in the student handbooks. As parents, you know that you get those as well. And I can provide those of you who are not necessarily parents of students in the system, but we do have separate student and staff handbooks. So policies are referred to in those documents as well. So it's the required trainings annually. It is the orientation that I'll look into. What do we do? How do we talk about policies and staff's responsibility? We'll have to do an audit of our staff and student policies. Like I said, all are referred to, but some are explicitly stated in those. But yeah, so those are some of the ways in which staff should be aware of. We have found that doesn't always happen.
All right.
Can I make one more observation in terms of Sandra's her recommendations for considerations? the Vermont School Boards Association has been trying to remove gender references from all of the policies.
Mhm.
And that would be something that we would have to do internally. So I am gonna have Tina start to work on that, just to review, and I will help her, obviously. But, you know, this, a simple thing is, rather than say superintendent or his or her designee, just refer, you know, remove the pronouns. You could just refer to the superintendent as title. So we will start to do that, and make any adjustments, that we see fit.
Right. Do we have any further questions or comments or suggestions for anything on our current business?
Only if we have, future predicting abilities, which we don't.
If only.
I have lots of questions if that was the case.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our business for today. Our next meeting date is September 10th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Here in the central office, where we'll be joined by Sandra Cameron. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion by Catherine, second by Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 5:26 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I ask a question outside of the meeting?
You can ask me, Lindsay.
Okay. I was just wondering, you have community members on the other committees. Do you
We
have?
do have a community member. We do. We had
Just
one that
one?
resigned. Yeah, and we had one that resigned, and we have one that has, I've been told that she is gonna join, but she hasn't, so I'm gonna have to reach out again to find out. But yes, our intention is to have community members. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah,
Okay?
I like policies. Just call me a glutton for punishment.
I love it.
That's
You're so
great,
funny.
Lindsay. All right, we'll bring your name back to the board and let them know about our community member dilemma, and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Lindsay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.